we can ever get one put together, would be able to touch base with all legislators, all governors, all sheriffs, all of the people that are registered into the system, either collectively or on a geopolitical basis, selected basis, if you will. And
Okay.
I keep searching for a way to bring that about, but I certainly don't know how to do it.
Okay, well, we're trying to offer Signal and get you trained on that to start talking to people. So you got to tell us, you're coming back for a reason, and we got answers to questions.
Well, the reason I'm coming back is because I certainly believe in the Precinct project. And 25 years ago, when I wrote the book To Tame a Tyrant and wrote the plan that was adopted by the people on Constitution Day 1993, I said then that certainly the two most important programs that need to be endorsed are the National Precinct Project and the fully informed jury affiliation or association. That those are very important programs, and I still feel that way to this day.
Right on. Okay. Q, how do we put a file? I'm trying to upload a file, and it just says paste. Is there? So I have to go ahead and in chat.
Yeah, let me change your status to co-host. Sorry about that.
That's okay. The janitor appreciates that.
Oh yeah, you're the co-host and you have access to many things right now.
Okay.
And including share screen. If you want to just show it to us via share screen, you can do that too. Sometimes it's even better because everybody would pay attention.
I'm just trying to bring up a file.
Okay.
All right. Well, how's everybody else doing? I don't want to take the show. Dan's here. Jim's here.
Oh, hello, Dan. Dan Schultz.
At 7:59.
Dan Schultz.
13 participants. 14.
Alicia's coming in. Our fighter from Texas. Jim Condit Jr. is here, ladies and gentlemen. Jim, can you please adjust your camera, please? Tilt up a little bit, or tilt down. Sorry, not tilt up. Tilt down. Yeah, thank you. Oh, you're on. You're mute, Jim. We can't hear you.
His mic. He just unmuted himself. He's got a comm problem.
Jim, you're still mute. Sorry.
I hear noise now. Wow, bring the mic up off the floor.
The idea. Not a bad idea at all. I'll do that.
Hey, Q, you got, and Michael, you were right. Somebody had pushed in the mute button on my mic.
Oh, God.
So you didn't hear me say, which I'll now say, I need a technical babysitter at all times, as you know, Q. But
no.
Hey, hi, Michael. Hi, everybody. Hey, thanks to, I see Clyde Davis is in. Thanks, Clyde, for coming on.
It is my pleasure.
Oh, good. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you. And it's 8:01, so at 8:02, let's start. Because
I already started recording.
Okay.
I'm sorry because I do.
No, that's fine. So what we're gonna do is start in like 8:02. We usually start 2 minutes late, and I'll just introduce and do the quick thing for new people. And even if there's no new people on, I don't know if there is or not, but if there is or not, people are watching these things through the week, so we've got to have the thing on there for the. And then after about 12 minutes, then we'll bring in special guest Clyde Davis of North Carolina, and who has a victory story for us, which is quite good. And then after that, shortly, I mean, for a few minutes, Nikki Nelson is going to come in because
yay.
Next week she's going to be the special guest, and you're going to make her, and she's going to show people how to use Network America. Okay. which is not, well, anyway, okay, it's 8:02. If you don't mind, I gotta stop myself from rambling so I can start rambling again. Walt Meyer, I see Walt Myers is on, and he's been just a tremendous, faithful person to trying to get this country going in the right direction for the last 30 years, probably longer than that. So thanks everybody for coming on. So this is our May 9th, 2021 Sunday night call. My name's Jim Conda Jr. And what I'm going to try to do here in 12 minutes is just a little bit of history leading up to what started this call going again. And then we're going to do what is a precinct, what is the precinct system, and why we're doing it. And then I'm going to turn that, and that's for new people. So ideally, if I could snap my fingers, we wouldn't have like this national call going in reach or in an invitation, if not in numbers yet. Well, we would have 3,000 county calls going, because the ultimate goal of these calls is to get everyone to meet face to face and then start to get the Republican Party, in most of our cases, to do their job, or put somebody in there that will do their job. Somebody thought up the nice phrase, reorganize. Okay. And yeah, we need to reorganize. So at any rate, as I say, my name's Jim Conda Jr. I learned about this. You can't feel stupider than I did. I was, some of you have to listen to this every week, but I was an alternate delegate to the Nixon convention and learned a lot of things by going to that. But in 1972, it took me till 1972. It took me till 1986 till a guy named Rick Herron came back from a Pat Robertson Christian Coalition meeting, and he told us, hey, do you know that the party leaders come from the precinct people? And I was like, oh, like an idiot. I'm a college graduate, but like an idiot for 14 years, I was thinking, well, the rich people pick the party leaders. And it's kind of still that way in many places because we're not involved, teaming, falling out the door, at these precinct meetings. So then we actually fought the battle, and we had 700 people running out of 1,100 places in Hamilton County in 1990. Seems like yesterday to me, but it seems like a lifetime ago to many, or even before they were born. But we went ahead and beat them on a technicality. We didn't have enough to beat them straight out, but they were so fat and lazy, like that Douglas County in Georgia we heard about from Dan Wiley last week. They forgot to do what their state law required. We beat them on technicality, but no one was watching then, and the court stole it from us. Literally, the Ohio Supreme Court within 2 weeks said that we, the Reagan platform Republicans, were right in law and in fact, but they were going to give it back to the good old boy network anyway. And that's in the case. My brother Tom argued it. Okay, so 2007, we started Network America calls, mostly Ron Paul people, but other people all invited. And a guy named Dan Schultz came on, and Dan Schultz sounds exactly the same, both in voice and in his message, exactly the same as he did in 2007. And what he did all these years, he was trying to get on a big mic, somebody on a big mic. He asked Glenn Beck back in 2007, Sarah Palin, you name it. Somebody give the precinct strategy a big mic. And he finally kind of befriended Steve Bannon, as I understand, over a period of time. And Steve Bannon finally let Dan Schultz on his show about, I guess it's 2 months now, maybe a month and a half. So that is, and then Dan started kindly sending everybody names. So we said, well, we're not urging anybody else not to do what they need to do, but we'll do this to try to connect people. So for new people, we've been told to write letters to our congressman. Okay. We've been told to go to rallies and scream and go home. I went to Trump rallies and Buchanan rallies, and I watched Ron Paul rallies. They were great, all great fun. Trump, of course, had the biggest, but, and you're told to visit your congressman. Okay. But what is, and again, I blame, of course, the lefty leaders, because they don't want the average person to know this, the citizens to know this. But I blame mostly the leaders of the groups that I like. Tea Party, some of them have said precinct, but not many properly. NRA, 3 million members. Ron Paul movement, 20 million members. And Ron Paul's a hero of mine. Okay, but they didn't tell the people about this. And all these big Republican conservative groups, Dan has talked about different reasons, but they either are kind of afraid of the Republican leaders, or either kind of our friends, and we better not make them mad, or they just think it's no money in it for them. They want people to send their money. So we got 50 states, one country, of course, 50 states, 3,141 counties, and everybody knows what county they live in. But what most people are not really clear on is their voting precinct, not the police precinct, the voting precinct, okay? The voting precinct is a geographical area, usually 10 or 15 streets around your house if you're in the big city or one of the cities. And your boundaries for your voting precinct, your neighborhood precinct, is just as exact as the boundaries for the state or the country. I mean, literally, if you get the walking list, it'll tell you 3232 Main Street is in your precinct and 3234 is in the next precinct. So I'm in the precinct Green Township Y, Hamilton County, Ohio, which is where Cincinnati, we're right outside of Cincinnati. You have to all find out what precinct you're in, and then we're going to start helping to keep score of what's happening. Again, we're not urging, we're glad if other people keep score, but I don't know anywhere in the country where anybody's keeping track of where we have freedom fighter precinct people and where we don't. So if it's already exists, somebody tell me, we'll link to it. Just like I'm trying to catch up with Durgee from Arizona to learn about Bitrix. But at any rate, so you got your little precinct, and most people don't know that the recognized parties in your state, I got to use Ohio, there's 50 different roles, which we're trying to get linked on one page. Dan Schultz has done a lot of them. A guy named Richard Michael's done some of them, but I think we still need 15 or 20 more. Would like to link them on one page so people can go, oh, this is how I run for precinct. So at the May primary in Ohio, or at the caucus in Kentucky next year, so in Ohio, if you want to get on the ballot for precinct, well, how do you do that? People say it's the same as Congress, except it's less signatures. You get 5 signatures from your neighborhood. Let's take Republican Party. You're going to run on the Republican Party. If you want to do that, you got to get in Ohio, Republicans or independents. And you can register people as you see them, and then you know they're valid. So you might get 8 signatures, but you get 5, you turn them into the Board of Elections just like a congressman would, then you're on the ballot for primary. Most of the time, 1/3 of these offices are vacant. Rick Herron, in the 80s, late 80s, gave a speech called The Most Powerful Office in the Land. And yet, even though it is, if understood properly, the most powerful office in the land, 1/3 of them are vacant across the United States, maybe more in some areas. But you get on, if you're on the ballot unopposed, you vote for yourself and you win. If you're opposing somebody, then it's usually like a baseball or a football or a basketball scored 11-9, 32-12, 43-37. That's a lot of precincts. And whoever gets the most votes wins. Well, why do you want to win? Why do we care about precinct? Because then you have the right a month later. And in Kentucky, it's a caucus. So that's even better because everybody meets at the school or whatever in the precinct. And you see who votes for who. Everybody's there. They put up there. You can't cheat that one. So, so that's how they get to go to the meeting. But a month after the May, let's take Ohio again. A month after the May primary, all the congressmen, whoever wins the primaries for the Democrats and Republicans goes on to the general election. But the precinct person is elected. They have the right to go to a meeting 1 month later. Usually in Ohio, it's by law 1 month later. Republicans meet, all the Republican precinct executives meet on one night, all the Democrats on another. And that's where we're losing the country. We're losing the country by not being at those meetings because that's where you elect the party leaders. Okay. And those party leaders operate as kind of almost like dictators for the next two years. And I'm not even saying that critically because most people go home and don't want to do anymore. So it's very important that we elect freedom-loving party leaders in your county who will stand up to the slow drift. Somebody, Dr. Ed Spencer corrected me, fast drift, he said, towards socialism. So we're losing the country because nobody knows about that meeting, hardly, and the party's not telling us. The national media is not telling us. So that's why we want to win for precinct and run for precinct and understand precinct. By the way, Dan Schultz's site, precinctstrategy.com. I've been neglectful in promoting that enough. We did in the email this week. You go there and you can watch him being interviewed by Bannon, that interview. And then he's got 3 or 4 little 10-minute things or 5-minute things that explain Precinct to you. So there's another place you can go immediately. And I like also Rick Herron's article, The Most Powerful Office in the Land. You can Google that. It's about 4 pages. So that's why. And why do we care who the party leaders are in the county? Well, the county decides how the votes are counted. And after this last election, we know we got a problem. That's where I got my feet wet, dragged into this computer vote fraud thing in 1979. And I urge everyone to go to openlettertodonaldtrump.com, where we put up a emergency memo during the fight last year. And if you read that emergency memo, which is 9 pages if you print it out or just read it on the website, that will tell you how bad the voting system and what the system is in 3,000 plus of our 3,141 counties. The county leaders are who fix that voting system and can make it right. Okay. And in Network America, we make that the test of whether people are alert or if we can trust them if they're already in office. If they don't want to get rid of the computers and count the paper ballots before the ballots leave the public site, not just paper ballots, before the ballots leave the public site, that's one of the most important things that the county leaders can do. But the county leaders also endorse the congressional candidate. We need Ron Paul's, not John Boehner's, who's from my city. We need, to keep it in the family, Rand Paul, not Senator Mitch McConnell. So they endorse the candidates, and historically, 95% of the time, the party endorsed candidate wins at the primary. Is that important? Then they elect the state leaders, 50 state leaders. In Ohio, they go to Columbus. Same in your state, something else. They elect the state leaders who set all kinds of rules for the presidential primaries and everything. Then those 50 state leaders basically get together and they elect the national leader, which is now, I think it's, I hope I got it right, Ronna Romney McDaniel. So that, and they set all the rules for the presidential election. So that is why we are doing this, because that, if you understand the precinct position, it is the most powerful office in the land. If the precinct people realize that they elect people who do all those things, and they can actually call a meeting and recall them in the middle of their term if they're not doing what's right. But I don't usually quote Ralph Nader, but he said we need to get to the point where instead of saying, wow, John's really good at basketball or Susie's really a great skater, we also got to say, boy, Mary is really a good citizen because she's working the precinct strategy. Dan Schultz said it. I steal it from him all the time. I steal from everybody if they say something good. And that is, if you're not involved in the precinct, you're not involved in politics. Okay. So now I'm going to introduce our special guest, and then Nikki Nelson will come on briefly to talk briefly about why this Network America can be so important. And we're not against any other system, but for instance, she did research, and Bitrix 24, which others have spoken highly of, is owned by a Russian guy. Now, he may be as interested in our freedom as I am and you are in his freedom, but Network America will not go down, even if we will not go down unless they start shutting websites down. We don't really know who some of these owners are, and we've kind of should take our lesson from Facebook that we should try to have a backup or many backups that we control. But I promise you, we will not go down unless they start taking individual websites down. So thanks to Michael P., who's on the call and will comment eventually, I'm sure. He introduced me to a great guy here, Clyde Davis of North Carolina. Clyde saw Dan was already active, and I think you'll agree when you get done hearing him that he could be, in other words, the idea of the precinct system, let me say the punchline. Instead of begging the people in office, please do something for us, please pass that, we can become, or some of us can become, the congressmen and the party leaders. You'll see that this fellow, Clyde Davis, could easily be either one if he wanted to be, if we had the votes to put him in. And so anyway, we'll have Nikki come and comment on that after, but for now, for 12 or 15 minutes, Clyde is going to tell us about a victory they had down there and how he has approached getting people involved and so on and so forth. And, part of this doesn't mean that I agree with everything or he agrees with it, or everybody agrees, but we want to hear what different people are doing around the country. So Clyde Davis, you can take it away. Okay.
Okay, well, thanks. First of all, I just want to thank Dan Schultz because I did everything he said to do, and that's why I'm here. I was already active in a group called Convention of States, and I'm not here tonight to debate its merit or not, but only that I learned how our local government works by how they do business. And they're a big organization, and they're really coordinated and organized. And I hear a lot of those concerns from this group about those two things in particular. So there's a lot to be learned from folks that have already gone down that path. But my story is basically right off Dan's script. I think it was around February 8th or 9th when I heard Dan on the War Room. And at that time, I was still an independent voter. Right after that, I think President Trump came out and said he's not going to start a new party, that he wanted to take over the Republican Party from within. And of course, that dovetails with the precinct strategy. So I did three things. I went to my first GOP meeting on the 10th, I think, of February, learned that the county meeting was the following month, about 6 weeks out, and that in order to have a voice here locally, you had to be a delegate. And so the delegate is a $10 pay for play. You pay $10 to the party, and then you are a delegate. And anybody can pay the $10 that's a registered voter. So all that happened in just a couple of weeks. So then we go to the. So then we're about to go to the county meeting, where they vote everybody in at the county level, and we get the packet. Now that I'm a delegate, I get a delegate packet, and so that tells you who's running and sort of what they hope to happen. And so I emailed our county chair and I said, hey, I got this delegate packet. I got a little bit of time and I'd like to do some stuff, but I don't want a job. What's available? And within 2 minutes, he emailed me back. He goes, well, there's a precinct chairmanship job that's available in your precinct and it's vacant. I said, well, what do I have to do? He said, well, you have to come to the meeting and you're already scheduled for that. And then once you get there, you'll go to a chair that's got your precinct number on it. And if you're the only one there, you can nominate yourself and then vote for yourself and you'll be a precinct chair. Well, I didn't have enough time to share that with too many people because it was just a few days away that meeting took place. But I did manage to get one other guy who came to that meeting and did the same thing. So two of us followed the strategy. And so now we're in the club. Why that's important to me personally at the precinct level is that with the Convention of States initiative, we passed the House last week after 7 years of trying. And two of the three people that are representatives in my county voted against what we do. And so that meeting, the next meeting is Monday night. I have no idea what that's going to be like, but I'm in an all red county. And the rest of my story with the precinct committee strategy is there are two gals that I've open dialogue with across the state are in the bluest of our counties. One is Mecklenburg County, which is Charlotte, where the Panthers and the Hornets play. And then Raleigh-Durham is the state capital, and that's where Wake County is. And they took that entire GOP over up there. They ran campaigns, they had ads, they did social media, they actually ran for the office, and they had enough of the people from their neighborhoods to vote for them that they displaced every incumbent in that county. Now their challenge is, now that they've won, the major committee folks that run the state are right there with them in that same county because that's where the state capital is. And so now they're getting all kinds of tests with information not being available to them and clandestine behaviors and meetings called without invitations and all these things where they're breaking all the rules. And so the bottom line for all of this, and I think it's going to happen to us here in my county because we do have an initiative. I've got over 2,000 people now that have signed my petition. And in our little county of 40 or 50,000 people vote here to get somebody elected, that's a pretty good start. And if each of those represent 100, which is what the political folks tell us, for every person that'll actually make a phone call or write a letter, they actually represent 100 people that think like them. And so I have started to do things like, let's have coffee and we'll have 10 or 12 people come and we'll just talk about what's going on. I was invited to a dinner about 3 weeks ago on a Friday night at a local restaurant, and all the folks weren't even from my county. They're from all over the state. And so we talked about what was going on, and they all dispersed, and soon enough, they were all engaged. And so as we find people that have a little bit of interest and a little bit of education, they want to take action. But the most common thing I hear is, I want to do something, but what can I do? And that's where the education portion of this comes in. Precinct strategy is fine, it's straightforward, but in my world, it's kind of a high level thing. Everything else I'm doing is much lower level than that. My activity with what we do with Convention of States is simply to get people together and have people read the proposition, and if they are like-minded, sign a petition. That's it. And how I started that was at gun shows. And what kicked that off was when our new Congress came through the door on the 4th of January. They brought with them over 127 new HR bills to be proposed, and the one called 127 is the most famous of the gun grab pieces of legislation. So I got a $60 table at a gun show, and I hawked for 2 days. I talked to 600 or 700 people. Hey, what do you know about the gun grab? And they would stop dead in their tracks. And I had a little cut sheet that just basically had, 10 or 12 bullet points. And I said, look, this is what they have in mind for us. And if you want to do something, there's a couple of things you can do. Go to this website and take a look. And if you like what's going on there, sign the petition. So there's an action. And once they sign the petition, they are automatically are going to send a communication automatically to their local state representative. So in the course of about 2 weekends, we had over, I want to say 3,000 or 4,000 people make that visit and create that noise. So as far as our precinct strategy goes, we have that kind of horsepower running in the background. And the point I'm trying to make here is that if there are like-minded groups like you guys keep talking about and bringing them all together, there are groups that have the tools and the ways and the means to get to those people that we need to get to. And I'm not sure what the best way is, but in our state, the key thread that runs through all of our different lives here, from the red counties to the blue counties and every county in between, without exception, every single person that I've talked to has been through the Patriot Academy. And the Patriot Academy is where they teach constitutional education. Basically, how did we get here? Why did they do what they did when they did it? How does it apply to where we are today? And once people have a little bit of that knowledge, and then they realize how out of control our Congress is, and they realize how out of control not having a budget is and what it means. And then we get into everything from education to the gun grab. And so everyone finds a niche that they have close to their heart. And mine is the gun shows, because I'm a Second Amendment guy, I'm a NRA guy. And like you said earlier, one of the most disappointing groups with 3 million. We have over 5 million people that have signed Convention of States petitions, and they're just regular folks. And that's tripling every week now. It's growing geometrically, because what we have for them is when they sign the petition, they get an introduction to the Constitution. And we only talk about Article 5. That's it. It's only 2 paragraphs. So they get to see what it says. And if it resonates, then they are able to take action. And that is an open gate to the rest of what I'm talking about, starting with this meeting with my folks here locally. So we've got a few precinct captains already in place. I just got the invitation for Monday night's meeting for the GOP here in Gaston County. And lo and behold, for the first time ever, they've published a list of vacancies. So we have 46 precincts and 17 are vacant. And that's what we intend to do something about. So that's kind of all I had to say about where we're at and what we're trying to do. But in a nutshell, that's the strategy. Can't hear you. I can't hear.
Jim, you're mute.
Sorry. Okay, here we go. So Clyde, if you can stay around, people, if you want to, people may have some questions.
Love to.
But let me ask you this. Tell us about that victory where they ousted the county and took over the county. How recently, and what were the dynamics of that victory?
Same time frame as mine. See, all of these happened. These 3 events all happened simultaneously, and we didn't meet each other until we had all been successful.
Wow.
So up in Wake County, there's a group of African-American Republicans, because it's a very blue district. It's a very high population of black versus white in that county. It's where Duke is. It's where University of North Carolina is. and North Carolina State. It's that triangle that if you're a basketball fan, you've heard about forever. So it's extremely blue, and it's a sanctuary county. So they have immigration, buses and planes and trains dropping people off, every week up there, and that's what they're up against. I think the demographic for Republicans is about 20 or 22% of the entire voting bloc. However, there's about a 45 or 46% undecided type people. So when you combine a major percentage of that to the Republicans, you may have a chance, and that's the mission. But what they did basically was they talked amongst themselves. They were not covert. They advertised, they were on social media, and they advertised what they were doing, why they were doing it, and it was to get rid of the rhinos. They were making no excuses, take no prisoners. They went for the throat, and it worked because they had enough people.
Okay, so would you say these are so when you get alert Black Americans who are realizing that neither party really has been doing that well by them, and they get alert, they're like maybe Larry Elder. I'm thinking of him and Candace. Candace
Owens,
yeah. When Walter Williams, who's passed away. So when they take over a county, even if it's in a Democratic district, they got every power as the other counties to vote on the state leader. So I'm also activating as obviously as many of everybody. Now the other thing you said is overt and covert, which we have talked about. Now we, Michael and myself and Nikki, we all want to encourage as many people as will do it to be overt, especially to say I'll help teach people in my area. But many people choose to be overt, and we don't have covert. They just go in and says we're here to help and so forth. We're not against that. In fact, the best situation is in the county, I think, is when you have at least a few overts, or maybe half overts and half coverts, because now you're moving to the dynamics that if you can and got a good leader, you can elect that good leader, because they'll forget when you got these overt people over here, they forget who the covert people
that's right
are that came. So that it's a beautiful thing. All we want to do is empower citizens to learn what we all should have learned in high school.
Yep.
And thank you for all of your work and riding to the sound of the guns. That was my favorite political moment in my life presidentially, when Pat Buchanan won New Hampshire, and he said they're coming after us with everything they got, which they were, and he said, mount up everybody and ride to the sound of the guns, and the crowd went wow. That was my favorite moment. But anyway, so okay, thank you. Let's Nikki, are you there?
I just wanted to say something.
Go ahead, Q.
Before Nikki comes up, wanted to say that Nikki, you also have the co-host status. That means if you want to share screen with us, you could do that.
But okay, Nikki's going to say a few words now, but next week she will be sharing the screen for about 12
Oh, okay. All right.
She'll be the special guest, and she will share the screen so people can see what is there in Network America. Again, we're not trying to down any other system. I want to get a herd of Durgee and take the Bitrix tour and so forth. And I think Michael does. So but Network America is a great system. Nikki was the heart and soul of the Ron Paul Facebook movement and other things back then. And I had been on a few calls with her, but we finally talked in 2014, and she was going to help Jim Trafficant, the congressman, late great congressman, in my opinion, and myself. And then Trafficant died in that quizzical tractor accident 3 months later. But when I saw Nikki doing what she was doing with my websites in Network America, I said, Nikki, you are the person I have been looking for since the internet started. But I didn't realize she was teaching her everything as she went. I thought she had a lot of experience, but she didn't. But Nikki, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Well, listen, why don't you tell people what you were going to be talking about next week, and why we built Network America to try to help people facilitate them meeting and communicating.
Sure. I wanted to say thank you to Clyde. That's amazing work you're doing. I know that you mentioned that you were handing out information to people on learning the Constitution. Is there any way that you can include, is that your pamphlet? Can you include also information on Precinct to these people?
Yeah. there's a couple of things that we can do there. I'm writing an operating agreement for our county,
Okay.
and we're working with the others in their counties because it's so different. It's crazy. We have state operating guidelines, but they are just guidelines. Every county runs it differently. And so we're having to learn that as we go along and document it as we go along. So obviously
Got it.
my first mission is to write the operating document for my county, which is Gaston, with 17 open positions. I need to be very effective in what it is that is available to anybody that wants to take action. And we are a Second Amendment county here where we aren't going to be pushed around by any federal nonsense about what we do in our own houses with our own weapons.
Yay.
Next to us is Mecklenburg County, sanctuary county for immigrants. To give you an idea of the difference between what I'm dealing with and what we need to deal with there is I've got 46 precincts. Mecklenburg County has 195.
Wow.
And so that's the stage. So the three counties that surround me, we have about 500 precincts, and mine's only 46. So if we can figure it out here and then roll it to these others, because our elections have already happened here. So we're like a couple of years away before any new people can get elected. Now they can be appointed, but if they're appointed, they don't have a vote. And so I'm not sure what the strategy should be for that. I think getting people in is probably the best thing. But that gets back to whether we're going to be covert or overt. And if they don't have a vote, I'm concerned that we'll kind of start too soon and fail too soon because we won't have enough inertia to do the thing that we want to do.
Right. Well, maybe they could be in there gathering information all this time. You know what I mean? Without taking action and wrestling any feathers. And then when the time comes, you guys can do the big grab.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing. That's why I'm doing Patriot Academy as sort of a training thing. And Mecklenburg County, that 195 county, is offering that 6-week class online on their website on Mecklenburg GOP. So everyone that I've talked to that is a PC has been through that training. And I find that to be kind of ironic because if you know the Constitution, you can defend it.
Exactly.
And it's not hard. It's fun, but you have to do a little bit to get there.
Well, gosh, Clyde, you're doing a great job. If you could type in the information on the constitutional training, that would be great in the chat.
Okay.
And I can post that on Network America. And I feel your pain. I was talking to him about that when it comes to we built this system and it was like 18 hours a day, 4 months straight with programmers, myself volunteering, Jim throwing in money, is shoestring budget. And we built this system that's worth, over $100,000, where you can upload documents, share information. I mean, that was one of the issues we had with the election fraud. When I was working on that legal case back, I think it was in 2012, it was like each county, they were pulling new tricks.
Yeah. And we're finding that here. I mean, if you've seen anything about South Carolina, which I live 6 miles from the South Carolina line, what's going down there with their state chairmanship and changing the rules and changing how they meet and all these things. It's completely illegal, but they're still trying to get away with it. So, I noticed down here in the chat, we've got, Patriot Academy is up and also Convention of States is up. So if you can look at either of those, they're in the chat.
Very good. I appreciate the information.
Michael, did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Okay.
Somebody did it.
Okay.
The Lord. Hey, Nikki.
I got your 6, Clyde. I got your 6. That's what we need to do. We need to quit playing around and get others 6. So
that's right.
Put it in there.
That's Michael's as usual accomplishing action. Listen.
Okay, wait a minute, Jim. I just wanted to finish.
Go ahead.
We were building the system, Clyde. One of our problems was we could find information on certain states, and then we had Dan Schultz's information on 30 states, which we've added to that. That's in Network America on the 30 states. But in each county, there were these nuances and unknowns everywhere. So as a systems person, I was like so frustrated because I would even, find the information, get it there, and then they would change stuff. Yeah. So that's why, and I know Michael and Jim and I have been getting, I got maybe 1,000 emails from people. And when the Precinct project gets, it's really starting to go because people are waking up and they're pissed. They want to jump in and make a change. Thank God, because we're at a critical juncture in our country, as we all know, or we wouldn't be here.
Yep.
We need to start sharing information. And that system was built by a bunch of volunteers, libertarians, constitutionalists, and people that are willing to defend it with their lives. So on our system for Network America, I've got backups going into 3 different countries twice a day. We've got servers in 3 different countries with different laws. We're protecting the system. Nobody has to pay for it, but we learned the hard way using free systems what happens, like Facebook, Twitter, a bunch of CIA, NSA collecting all our info and put us on lists. While we're, and other people sharing dog pictures and cat pictures. I mean, basically that's what it all was. It was crazy. So anyways, I wanted to tout this system because the only way this is going to be sustainable if we get more and more people on board is if we have everybody working together, sharing information, and then moving forward with best practices. So Network America, I'm going to share my screen real quick. And let's see here if I can get to where I need to go.
Nikki, while you do that, I just want to say that I see Leisha from Texas on the call and Mom of Nine and others here. And if we had 250,000 people like Leisha in Texas and Mom of Nine, we would be a long way towards winning the country back. And Leisha was telling, we had a nice chat last night, thanks to Michael putting us together. And Leisha was saying how she's sending everybody she can into Network America. And she understands we're not trying to monopolize. We're hoping everybody does their own county calls eventually, but we are trying to connect all the good leaders, because almost everybody with a leader instinct has started a group, it seems. We don't need new groups necessarily. We need to cooperate together. And but Nikki, go ahead. I assumed you were just starting, so go ahead.
No, I appreciate that everybody's coming in, and that's the big thing. And I guess people, when they first come in, I mean, you go to our website and we've got the little video about Precinct here, and then our guiding principles, of course, and then you just enter the system, which is right here. You end up on a landing page. Let me.
We're not seeing it.
I don't think we're seeing the thing. We may have to get that ready for next week, but just at least tell us.
Jim, give me 1 second, honey.
Okay.
Okay, share screen, and I guess desktop share. Open system preferences, allow Zoom. All right, I can do that. And will not be able to record the content. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
No.
No.
Not yet. If you pick the right screen, yes, I can see that now.
There it
You
is.
can see it? Okay, great. So when you end up at Network America, oh no, I've got all these things up here. I'm not used to Zoom, guys. I'm a Zoom tard. Oh wow, how do I get rid of this thing? Oh my goodness, I can't, it's like covering all my buttons. Oh well, that's goodness. What do I do here, guys? Do you know? Oh, here, maybe this will, there we go. Okay, so when you end up in Network America, you end up on a landing page here. And it tells people, welcome to the Precinct Project, create a profile, join the Precinct groups, organize and socialize. And it's got really good instructions when you get here. So you're going to sign up here or log in if you already have an account. And once you get in there, it works like Facebook, guys. So on the right, it's going to say if you're in Precinct upon arrival, join your 3 groups. So let's go to the national group right now. And you go, and this would say join group. I'm already joined, so it doesn't. You join the national group, and this is the national group where everybody can talk on a national level about what's going on in their state, and then you can join your state group. So I'm going to go to Ohio because I want to show you where information is located. So if we go into Ohio, now on the left-hand side, this is the Ohio group for the state group, and then of course you can join your county group and then your party groups and all that. But on the left-hand side right here, either in documents, you can upload documents, you can create new documents, and you can do JPEGs, PDFs, all kinds of, that kind of thing. And then in like the Ohio group, I want to go back to Ohio, you'll see there's 2 topics in Ohio. And if you click on that, it shows the county recorder, the SOS office, and how-to guides provided by Dan Schultz. You could click right here and it'll show you how to run for precinct in Ohio, all of these things here. Also, Dan's information is listed under more how-to guides, info by state, And then also it should be like when you're on your homepage where all of the posts are, it'll be right here. And here you can share information just like Facebook. We're all working together. Like I put today, I put like when people come in the system, find out how to run for precinct in your area, upload that info to your state, county, and party groups under documents and topics, and then go share it in the national group. So eventually, if everybody starts using this, you guys, we're going to have the biggest database on how to run for precinct. And it's a protected system where you're not going to be censored. You can talk to everybody, share information. Nobody's trying to control anybody in here. And I think it's the only way we're going to be able to, on a national level, organize and share information in real time about what kind of tricks they're playing, how to run for precinct, what strategies people are taking. So anyways, I just wanted people to know that this system is here. We've got all of the groups. I don't know how many groups we have. So we have so many. We have the national group. We have over 3,100 county groups, and then it goes down to party groups.
You mean we got the shell for that? We don't have 31 county leaders yet, but we got the shell.
We don't have all the leaders, but all you do is go in there and make yourself a leader. I mean, there's people in there now asking questions, and I think that's one of our biggest problems. Is if everybody's in there, I have people saying, "I want to show people how to run for precinct," and then you've got another person asking a question, "How do I do this?" And it's just, we don't have enough people. Like right now, I think we only have 3 people in there. Oh, no, we don't. Let me see.
So
we have 1,000 people in here, but right now online, I think we only had 3 last time I checked. Let me go look. It'll say who's online. Okay, so we have 4. So Dan's in here, Jim's in here, I'm in here, and then Juan Moore's in here. Those are the only people in here right now. But when you guys are doing these conference calls, if you could be in here and posting information, you know what I mean, while the meeting's going on. I mean, this is, I think, the only way to deal with the precinct on a national level or even local level, because we just don't have the volunteers to handle 100 different emails, especially when we have people that are willing to help each other.
So yeah, and so and if people want to, they can start their own. If they want to start a Second Amendment group or whatever.
Yeah, you can create your own groups. We've got No Mask for Colorado is using the system because they got kicked off of Facebook, and you know, people that are getting kicked off of Facebook that are fighting constitutional issues, they're welcome to come in here and
they can at least have a backup system here. So if they get kicked off of Facebook, that most people could just come here to see what they're doing next or whatever, you know.
Right. And we have like Constitution Club, Second Amendment Club, Ham Radio, Preparedness, No Mask. I mean, there's all different kinds of groups in here. Anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on with the system, and hopefully people will start using it because it's a system built by the people for the people, but it's only going to be valuable when we get all of the information in, and then you can take that info, put it in all the other systems. I mean, the more places we have info, the better.
Yeah, because I mean, we haven't emphasized it enough on this call, but this is not, you all know we're not playing games here. They're coming for keeps. They hope that we don't understand the system, that we give up, that we get tired. They're coming for to bring a soft tyranny or maybe a hard tyranny here. And I mean, just think of this one fact. This is an irrefutable fact. Okay, Bobby Kennedy Jr., for heaven's sakes, a Kennedy, who's one of the, if you went from left to right, he would probably be one of the most popular people in the country. Because he's warning to look into vaccines before you take them, he's banned from every national and local station in the country. So when people say, "Are you a conspiracy theorist?" I like the Gore Vidal. I don't like Gore Vidal, but I like when he was asked that 20 years ago. He said, "I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy analyst." So when I see that Bobby Kennedy Jr., for heaven's sakes, is barred from every local major radio and TV station, every national radio and TV station, and is not allowed to be interviewed, somebody has a lot of power over our media. It would be ridiculous or insane to say, "Oh no, this is all happening by chance." So anyway, that can all be fixed if you get in good Congress and a good whatever. Okay, so Nikki, thank you. You're going to be back next week as the special guest. Now, Dan Schultz is on the call. My inclination, Dan, is you sat in for me one week when my cold was so bad. but we're going to have you on as even though I know we don't necessarily agree on every last little nuance of how to proceed and everything, but we're going to have you on as a special guest maybe the next week or the week after. And then, we'll record that and put that up. And by the way, Clyde, my intention is it's just a matter of getting it all done, is to have an interview with you that's just so you can talk and expand like you did with us, Michael and me the other night, and we'll
Okay.
do an interview and we'll put these interviews up and everybody can steal them again. I hope you get the spirit that I know that I, at age 68, never, even when I was 28, never had the energy, and neither is any other individual. We need so many, everybody I talk to seems to be a talented person, loves the country, loves the Constitution, loves the Bill of Rights. We just need to get all these people connected and working together, because the other side in the Democratic and the Republican Party already has that set up, and they've been doing this for a long time. And okay, so does anybody want to comment? That's in the. Anybody have anything to say, or questions, criticisms? You want to say something, Clyde?
I got one more thing I didn't share with you. Are you all familiar with Front Sight? Does
No,
that name ring a bell?
I'm not.
Okay, they're a world-renowned personal protection, safety, gun training outfit. And part of both of the groups that I work with have a national agreement with them. If you or I were to just sign up and go there for 2 or 3 days, it would be $3,000 or $4,000 for their training. As part of these groups that you saw posted, once you're engaged with those groups and you are a petition signer, for example, you can attend that training for $99.
Oh,
So
wow. Well,
I have a family that's has a wedding in November. The bachelor's party is September at Front Sight.
Wow. Okay, so Q, we gotta get somebody on and do a Zoom with Clyde, because he's got all these good groups. And I've said one nice thing about this is one nice thing of what's happened in the last is they pulled that election scam off with the 2 million votes of unknown origin mail-in ballots. And that is that we don't have to go around and convince people that there's kind of an ominous government force somewhere that's motivating things in the wrong direction in so many places. So I've said, as long as you don't want a forced vaccine, as long as you're for the Second Amendment, I want to work with you. We can teach them the rest of the Constitution as soon as they get in here. Of course, would rather everybody knew the Constitution. Well, I myself need a refresher course, but even if they're new to this, and we got people locally, there's a lady named Hyacinth, who's originally, I don't know if she's from Korea or of Korean descent. She was just bumping along and even listening to CNN and that, and she's a local person that Q knows. And she said, hey, when I saw what they were doing with this lockdown and all this unjustified stuff, I started looking up, and she became a Trumper and a Republican to try to save her freedom and our freedom, and she's one of the most devoted people I know, as is Dr. Q, who's originally from Iran and has a great story himself. He was trying to advocate for freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. I wish most Americans had 1/10 of the enthusiasm for our Constitution and Bill of Rights as Hyacinth and Q does. Okay, does anybody else have any comments? Please join in if you got anything to say, or even say hi. I don't know.
I just wanted to point out something is going on in the chat box. No, you should be able to, send message to everyone. I am not sure what might have happened here, but I'm going
Okay.
to.
It won't let you. Well, no, I can send everyone. Let me. Oh, I didn't even send.
Yeah, no, you're the co-host, but everybody else who is not the co-host should be able to send messages to everyone else.
Yeah.
Please try it now. If you have that problem, then I'm going to take away, the co-host status from everyone else and give it back in a minute. I just want to make sure that everybody can send messages to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, only co-hosts can send messages to everyone right now, I think.
Okay, so if you don't mind, somebody might have made a mistake in the process, and I'm going to fix that in a minute. Okay, just be patient with me.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We got to get
Can I
to
ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Is that Leisha?
Yeah.
And then,
Nikki,
hold on, Leisha, you go and talk as long as you want. And then Dr. Ed Spencer has his hand up. So go ahead.
Nikki, fantastic job. I've been sitting here playing with it and it looks really good. I was in the system, but not all of my information. So I went ahead and put my information and then it won't let me get so far. It says I have to verify the email and so far 10 minutes and I haven't received an email. How long should I expect that?
It should come right away, honey. Can you check your spam folder?
Yeah, I
think
did.
We're
How about
using
promotion?
Aweber.
Do you have a promotions folder? They've started putting some of the stuff in promotions.
Okay, I'll keep looking, maybe.
Okay, Leisha, and I'll check into that after the call also with the programmer to make sure, because I know one of our Aweber accounts got shut down and then we started a new one and put all of that, rehooked it up with the new account. That was 2 weeks ago. So I will double check that and sign up for a new account myself on a different browser.
Okay,
Thank
and
you for bringing that to my attention.
And I
thank
am
you
on
for your help.
DuckDuckGo, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. I wonder.
I'm having the same issue.
This system, when it was built, was tested with Internet Explorer, Chrome, and Firefox.
Actually, I'm on Edge right now on this computer.
Okay,
Okay.
so sometimes the best thing if things aren't working is to change your browser either to Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer is, I think, obsolete at this point. But when we built the system, we tested it with 3 different browsers and they change, as you know. So
Jim Moore, you said you had the same problem.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So we got to
Okay.
do something.
Okay, guys, I'm going to check on that. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. And
You
when
bet.
you're in
Good
there,
job, though.
Lisa, hey, thanks. When you're in there, if you have any questions or problems, just type them in there, make a post. And I check that system daily and I'll be able to answer your questions or fix things that are broken.
Okay, so like from the homepage, you go into the enter and then you would just log in. Okay, so like, so my stuff is on the left-hand side. So I would just make a post right there like you would on Facebook, actually.
Just like Facebook, exactly. But
Okay.
we modified it so when you're in your groups, you can upload documents. You can upload JPEGs, PDFs, all kinds of documents. You can
So
put
on
videos.
my groups, like right now, my groups is empty. So once my email is verified, I could create my Waller County group.
Yes.
Okay, and
Absolutely,
then,
but really, when you go in there, on the right-hand side, it says start here.
oh, okay,
In the
gotcha.
national group, state group, your county
Okay.
group, and if you want, you can do party groups. So those groups are already made, but if you want to make your own special one because you have people in it, go ahead.
Well, but maybe if she doesn't have people in it, it's good to use what's there and invite
Yeah.
them in.
Yeah, why don't you take control of that county, Leisha? That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, I'm working on it, honey. Trust me, I am working on it.
And so, Leisha, as I understand, you're willing to be listed on list to say this person will, Lesha will help you if you're in this county or if you're in Texas. And I think Clyde is willing to be listed. This is just a generic list of freedom leaders because I don't count the party leaders that are there or the precinct people they've recruited. In Cincinnati, over 30 years, I've never seen a precinct person recruited by the Republican Party leadership that has been willing to stand up to the state and national leadership. Not one precinct person. So I'm only interested in referrals of people who we're going to list them who are known freedom fighters, even though we're not going to list names. If we let's say in your county, we're not going to list names. We're just going to say what counties we need people in, because we don't need them to know the names of who's who, but we do need to know, to keep score, how many more precinct people do we have to find in what neighborhoods? You see what I mean? Okay. Does that make sense, Lesha, to you?
Yes.
Yeah, but we don't want to be blowing the whistle on who's running for many reasons. If they want to go public, they can. But I just advised someone in one state to go covert because it was like what Dan Wiley and Clyde Davis have experienced, that some of the counties are just not, they're so fat and happy, they're not even paying attention. Okay, Michael P. or Dan Schultz, does anybody want to say anything?
Hi, Dan.
Oh, maybe Dan's gone.
Hi.
Oh,
No,
he's
Yeah,
Dan.
I have comments, but I don't want them to be recorded and made public.
okay. Okay, well then we could perhaps do that at the end of the call for the
Yeah.
for those who want to stay around. Okay, anybody else? Michael, you got any?
Bob wanted to speak, I believe.
Okay. Oh yeah, Dr. Ed has his hand up.
Yeah, Dr. Ed and Bob.
Okay. Okay. So Dr. Ed, are you?
Dr. Ed, go ahead. You were first. I saw you first.
Hi,
Okay.
Ed, you're muted, honey.
I'm going to unmute him and
Oh, I
hopefully.
got it. I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. How
No, the other Ed. You're Ed too, but
Yes.
Dr. Ed is Spencer. You're still muted.
Is the chat thing fixed, Q, or is that still?
Yeah, I fix it by making everybody co-host.
Okay, there, I'm unmuted.
Okay, Ed, go ahead.
Could be,
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
okay, I've worked with targeted people, individuals for a long, long time, and this is why we can't reach some people. And I think we have to talk about this issue of mind control and how it's done. But this doesn't have to be done in the group. I'm just inviting others who do want to approach this rather difficult topic to contact me. That's about it. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
And Ed, we've talked about having some conference calls, Zoom calls devoted to that subject.
Okay, good.
I mean, you and I have talked about that you might host.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I could go on for hours on what you're talking about, because the reason that we're behind the 8 ball on both the media and both parties, and I consider the Republican Party, the Mitch McConnell wing, which is most of it, every bit as criminal as the Democratic Party. I do not. That's why I'm not for. I don't want to go in and say I just want to make the party better. I want to indict some of these people for treason, especially all those who voted for that fraudulent Biden win. I mean, there's got to be some checks and balances, and they just acted like they were little kids who had to rubber stamp whatever garbage the state sent them. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tirade here. But okay, so who else was going to comment? Bob?
Thanks, Jim. It's great being with you guys again. And I just wanted to say it's great meeting Clyde, because I'm also from Alamance County in North Carolina.
Oh, good.
And if you can see the flag behind me, Mark Robinson is
yes.
our lieutenant governor,
Yes.
and just an awesome guy.
Yes,
A
I
big
met him.
Second Amendment.
Yeah, I met him at a speaking engagement about a month and a half ago for the first time. And for those of you that don't know who he is, I didn't remember who he was, but 2 years ago, he was the black guy that went viral about I'm the normal guy. I'm the guy that never kills anybody. And here you are trying to take my gun show away. And
Yeah.
it's about a 4-minute video. And if there is a leader that I would follow into battle, he is certainly one of them.
Oh, great. Okay. Now
And I
the
look
other.
forward to connecting you with you, Clyde.
Thanks.
Okay, Ed. The other Ed wanted to talk. I think Ed from Michigan.
Yeah. How involved do you get with the party just joining out with the party,
Mm-hmm.
the local precinct? Tuesday they've got a redistricting. They got I think 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans on a board, whatever. They're talking about redistricting Michigan. And that's for our area around central Michigan. And I'd like to make it to that meeting, but should I be doing all that? I know I'm gonna go to the speaker series they got on Thursday and talk
Well,
to
I mean, if you got the energy, especially now, just kind of see what these meetings are like, and report back to Michael and me or whoever, because it sounds like you need some allies up there, because you're kind of joining the party as it is. I take it, so you could use some allies up there if we can find them.
Right. Well, I'm hoping to get the allies. I'm still trying to get hold of my contact person for the grassroots organization. They, by the bylaws, that's what takes care of the precinct delegates. That's what they call them here instead of committeemen.
And you're having trouble getting them, the bylaws?
I haven't hounded the girl too hard. I know she's very busy. I called her a couple times. Well, I've been calling her maybe I'll start calling her every day and see.
Or maybe just drive down to the Board of Elections. In Ohio, the Board of Elections gives you anything you want. They're very open. The only problem is they count the vote in secret, like all the other counties do. But as long as you don't ask them something about that, they're as helpful as they can be.
Well, if I went downtown where we do the elections and stuff like that, I'd be able to I wouldn't be able to get the precinct delegates because you gotta go down to the county, the county courthouse, which you need to get an appointment, and so you get all the delegates that are in our county and everything like that.
Okay.
And that may take a little bit of time because it's just like secure down there. They have, they'll do a temperature test. They'll do take all your.
Ed, if I could direct you, m1precinctfirst.com was just sent in to us today. So after the call, if you need me to walk you through it, but this is somebody in Michigan that's established. So after the call, take a look, and everybody has it in chat. And then Dan Schultz was waving his hand, etc. So look at m1precinctfirst.com, and let's talk about follow-up. Okay.
Okay, I see that. Will that still be up after the chat?
You can hit Control A, click in the chat, hit Control A, and then you can hit Control C.
Or click on file.
Say that again.
Click on file, and then it'll give you a
I'll
dialog
text it
box
to you,
for
Ed.
downloading.
Okay, that'd be
We'll
great.
get it to you, but this is something
Ed,
to move it along.
Okay, good. Now listen,
Ed,
Dan, I didn't get what you said. You said click on file and do what?
if you click on the file icon in chat, I believe it gives you a dialog box to download the chat file.
Oh, okay, good. And you can do that at the end of the call.
More to the point, what Ed is talking about. Ed, have you made contact with Marion Sheridan in Michigan?
No, I haven't.
Okay, email me, and I'll get you in contact with her. She is the grassroots vice chair.
Oh, good. That's who I need.
On the state committee. She'll get you whatever you need. She'll cut through all the. She has access to everything because she's a vice chairman on the state committee, and she's supposed to be helping grassroots people. And she's my go-to person in Michigan. So just email me, Dan@precinctstrategy.com. Dan@precinctstrategy.com, and then I'll connect you with her. And then all those other questions that you had on the call tonight, she'll be able to give you some good input as well. Thanks.
Okay, good. Michael, would you tell us how you got? I was unable to do it. I tried to do it. How did you get your precinct? Michael has suggested that everybody find their precinct and list it here. Of course, the goal of the call is everyone find out what precincts they're in, and then we start to bring people together by county, or somebody brings them together. And then they meet and start to organize locally, as we're going to do here in Cincinnati 2 weeks from last Thursday. So that's the goal of the call. So, but how did you get your precinct instead of your name up there?
It's just a renaming function when you start, when Zoom initiates. You have your standard name in there, but you can click a button that says rename. And I think Q can give you training after the call or on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
But we're just trying to promote. Everybody's like, hey, where are you from? Name. No, it's 21 Hampshire, West Virginia. Know your precinct and let other people know you as that's where your dirt is. And that's the dirt you're there to defend. Right?
Right. Exactly. Okay. So
if you don't know how to do it, I can do it for you. I can rename you.
Okay.
That's what I did for Ed from Michigan.
Yes. Okay.
And Dan, I wanted to ask you, we have 2 emails. I typed in Dan@precinctstrategy.com. And I think Dr. Q put Dan@precinctstrategies.com, which is it?
Yeah, it's the correct one. Precinctstrategy.com.
Okay, thanks, y'all.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And I posted it.
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh, thanks.
Singular, not plural. Singular, not plural. Okay. Now, anyone else? If does anyone?
Jim Moore wants to
okay,
talk.
Jim Moore has it. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Pretty basic. I've seen Dan on the War Room. Been driving a lot, listening to the War Room. I want to get involved. I'm in a little county outside of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. Went to the Republican website, and for the county, there's only one contact bit of information on there, and it's for the chairman of the Republican committee of Beaver County. I've emailed him numerous times. He doesn't respond to emails. They have an events calendar on their website. I watch the events calendar for anything going on. And what I've found is the day after they have a meeting, they'll post on their calendar that they had a meeting the day before.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, with that, kind of at a standstill, right? I want to do something, but I don't even know how to get involved at that level. So, I'm half a mile from the courthouse. Go ahead, Dan.
I know. I want to say first to Michael, can we put him in touch with David? Is it David Michael from
David V from Berks? And yes, I've given him my number and I've asked to follow up with him, and we're gonna ground and pound. That's what we do.
Yeah. So we need
to talk with us so we can not make you go fetch, but we can shoulder to shoulder research with you. Plus, let me just say this: working with Nicholas Wildstar out in California, the Fresno group, we're doing that Columbo thing, to where somebody asks a question, they don't get a response. Duh, I'm doing a research project, and can you tell me about what's going on? So we don't. Again, it's the covert overt. As the California said, oh, you're with that Steve Bannon precinct thing. So, folks, the word's getting out, okay? And people are tightening up. So, we got to go. We just got to use swarm, and we got to just hit them with force. So, Jim, I'm here to help you.
Hopefully, we can put Jim in touch with the gentleman,
David at V, and
David
again,
V.
we'll run the tag team system. We'll get them answers. That's what we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Jim
good.
Moore.
Dan Schultz. Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Moore. Email me, Dan at precinctstrategy.com. I will put you in touch with a woman named Donna Ellingson, who's been involved in the precinct strategy in Pennsylvania for as long as I've been involved here in Arizona, and she'll help you.
Okay. I'd appreciate
Dan
it.
at precinctstrategy.com.
I got it. Yep.
Good. That's good contacts. Okay. Anyone else got anything? Any input, suggestions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to get everybody, we get all these delegates in place. Everybody's ready to rock and roll, and it's time to vote. And then we only have mail-in ballots. So it doesn't matter what we do. We can't really, they'll flip the vote to whatever is they want. And we could do a referendum, but again, that would be done with mail-in ballots. We could talk to our politicians that are in office, say, can you pass a law doing this? And they'll say, no, we're not going to do that, because with this fraudulent vote, that's how we stay in office. How can you keep Pelosi in year after year after year? Nobody in their right mind would vote for it. So obviously it's rigged. So we can't turn to the lawmakers to get that.
What state are you in? What state are you in?
California.
California. Dr. Ed is working on that, and we have a name that Durgee, her real name is Dorothy, but she goes by Durgee. She gave Dr. Ed has a contact that she gave the email to contact him on how California works. But you got to see, this is why I've been feeling like I'm in an insane asylum since 1979, screaming, you don't let anybody, take the votes in the back room and count them. And we don't even know where mail-in ballots come from. So I have to say that, now you mean in California, nobody votes at the precinct?
A handful do, but it doesn't matter because then they take it out to the register of voters to be counted. But
Well, and
most of them,
yeah.
the reason they're doing the mail-in ballots is under pretense and pretext of emergency of the COVID.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually visit a precinct during the last election, so I have no idea what's going on there. But for the most part, they're going to be doing the mail-in ballots. And as you had a caller last week, she got thing to register from Kaiser, so she put in fake everything except for her address, and she came back registered to vote, even though everything was fictitious.
No,
so we know the fix is there. We just can't prevent it, as far as we know.
Yeah, you got a good point, and this is why I've been screaming about it, because the system is made by crooks for crooks, and the Republican Party is, objectively speaking, I'm not judging any of these local shallow opportunists who are running the Board of Elections as a rule. They are every bit as guilty as the Democratic Party in enforcing this illegal vote on us. People may not want to hear that we got an illegal vote by 3 Supreme Court decisions, that they've taken it out of our hands since 1988. Your vote doesn't count unless one of those 3 companies, Dominion, ES&S, and Hart, want it to count. People may not like to hear that because they came to play a game with fair rules. We are fighting the worst criminals in the history of mankind because of the technology at their fingertips. And these people at the local level are generally shallow opportunists who want to go along to keep their job. They're not going to stand up and say, hey, this system we got is not really an American system.
If I could share something with 0202 out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
What's your first name? I just got a phone number.
California, what was your first name?
Mike.
Okay, Mike. One, Nicholas Wildstar is embracing the precinct strategy. And so you have a guy running Republican for governor declared, and I can put you in touch with his camp. And then second of all, this is a you got to get the bodies ready to protest or to swarm and educate people. So this is a recruitment phase in spring. And we know there's problems, and everybody wants to deal with the problems versus the recruitment and the bodies. So we first need to build up the numbers in the 415 and then go after, did you know, and do canvassing, polling, phone banking. And the did you know would just be on the 3 companies. The election was stolen by the machines, just like Terminator. Okay, so that's a California field, James Cameron, and so forth. So we got plans, but right now we got to get people to know their precincts and start talking with one another with battle buddies, swim buddies, and dive buddies, people in your precinct. So if you'll work with us, let us get you through basic boot camp. Then we can send you out on the mission to deal with the machines. Does that make sense?
No, it does not. My question is about the mail-in ballots. They can flip those to anything we want. That question hasn't been answered
but if
yet.
we get the bodies,
excuse me, I'm going to ask a question. What is our remedy? That's my question. How do we correct it?
Dan,
okay, I'm going to give it back to you now.
Okay. Can I speak or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted the question answered.
415 area code. Send me an email, dan@precinctstrategy.com. And then I'll try to give you asked, what's the remedy? Well, the remedy is what we've been talking about on this call tonight. You and everybody else who thinks like you in California have to deluge your local county committee meetings, whether they will let you attend or not. I know there's a lot of COVID crap going on in your state and you can't attend. So in the meantime, start reaching out to every conservative group that you can find where you live and across the state, and teach them the precinct committeeman strategy, and tell them, okay, here's what we're going to do after this COVID crap ends and after this recall is successful. And that's the encouraging words. Look what happened in California. A whole bunch of Californians got together and they said, we're going to do something. We're going to recall this clown that we elected, and they got the signatures, and it's gonna go to the ballot. Okay, that's good stuff. Okay, now the thing to do is contact those guys, like the guy that Bannon has on, Del Beccario or whatever his name is. I don't know him, but my hat's off to him for what he and his cohorts succeeded in doing, and everybody else in California. But now what they need to do, all those signature gatherers, now what they need to do.
California, Mike, your phone, there's noise over your phone. So maybe when you're not talking, you could mute, or maybe something's causing noise. Something's causing noise.
I'm going to ask the question one more time, third time. It has been answered. I've speak before groups of about averaging 60, 3 different groups a week, and they all come to the same conclusion. It doesn't matter if we have these delegates in there because they have the mail-in ballots. They can flip it to 100%, keep the governor in there, even though we vote against it. So they're going to flip these mail-in ballots to whatever they want. What is our remedy for the mail-in ballot? I'm going to yield the floor now to an answer, because I have to go back to these people and give them an answer.
Just email me.
Okay?
Dan, let me I did answer you that at the moment there's no remedy. But Dan is saying we got to get so many people involved that we maybe appeal to somebody already in office. Yeah, believe me, they're trying to put us under slavery. And when he says they can flip those ballots, Trump basically said that in his thank you tour in Louisiana. And if we want to have a special call on vote fraud, bring on anybody in the country, including Sidney Powell, and she will be humiliated if she doesn't take my position, because people don't want to think about this. And this is why I say, oh, there's no malevolent force behind the Republican Democratic Party. Your vote does not count unless they want it to. And if they want to put Gavin Newsom back in, they will do some crazy publicity at the end and say, oh, he won by 23 votes. Or they will put on somebody just as bad as him, or almost as bad as him. That is totally out of the hands of the people of California. Totally. And if anybody disagrees, speak up, because the 3 companies, Dominion, which is now known thanks to a whistleblower, ES&S and Hart, them and their predecessors have been around for 50 years, they decide what is reported to the counties. The counties have no control over it. The counties report it uncritically. The news media reports it uncritically. And anybody in the national media, including Tucker Carlson and Laurel Ingraham, that think they're going to get into this issue, they will find themselves fired, because this is how the ruling elite is ruling this country and pushing us as fast as we can. And if anybody didn't see what they did in that Trump election just now, then I don't know what to say. I mean, and if everybody doesn't see that 60 courts were crooked and the Supreme Court of the United States was crooked, and they all need to be charged with treason, everyone on the Supreme Court that voted to let that stuff go, I don't care what legal excuse they have, they ran into abortion and made up a right, whether you agree with that or not. They made up the right in 73, and they do it all the time. They made up a lot of stuff that they do all the time. Then when it comes to something like saving the country from being stolen by the biggest crooks in the history of mankind that funded communism in China and Russia and killed 100 million people, and they plan to kill 15 million in this country, I guarantee you, if they get our guns. Yeah.
Can I try with Mike? I think what the whole goal of this is on the mail-in ballots is to make that illegal. We have to change the constitutionality of mail-in ballots. And the only way to do that is to get constitutional Republicans elected to office. And the only way to do that is to start from the bottom with constitutional Republicans in the precincts, then the precinct chair, the county chair, the state chair, And now we've got some voices to be heard. And I think that's how we get rid of the mail-in ballots. In Texas, that's not a huge problem. I mean, it will be, I know, but anyway, I think that's the strategy.
No, that is the strategy, but I'm sorry, Dan. I want to yield the floor to Dan Schultz, who was trying to talk when I went on my tirade. But whereas a caucus state like Kentucky, they can't cheat because everybody shows up and they see how people vote. What Mike is saying in California, when they are dealing with mail-in ballots largely and computer counts 100%, where they're not the mail-in ballots, even the mail-in ballots are run through the computers. He's saying they can cheat at the precinct level even, and there's nothing they can do. The only thing is, though, is that the precincts have such low votes that you can often still win at those because they don't usually, that's a lot of work to go down that far to the precinct. But Mike's basic point is right. They have no remedy right now unless some people in the state start to change the law. But that's the idea. We have no choice but to start at the local level and build up this precinct thing. And as I've said on other calls, we're all trying to keep it peaceful. But if they think they're going to come and just put us under tyranny, the men of this country are going to have to use the Second Amendment for what it was meant for. And when these crooked politicians in most offices or fear the people more than they fear the financial guys giving them orders from up top, they will start making changes. I'll let everybody draw their own conclusions about that. Okay, Dan, you wanted to say something.
Please go ahead, Dan.
No, I'm done.
All right. But
Okay.
you want to talk at the end, right? Then off the chart, off the record, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
if does anybody else have anything, or we'll end the meeting, and then we'll, for those who want, can stay around and hear Dan's comments. I know that some people don't agree with my insistence on telling people what we're fighting, and I'm glad to debate that on a call with anybody or any 50 people against me alone, and I will win. I will win to any sane, not to any sane person, any person that's willing to look at the facts. I will win that we are fighting a ruthless, monolithic ruling elite, even though they kill each other sometimes when they get mad at each other. But they are coming for communism in this country, putting us all in a commune with no property rights and no rights in court. So anybody else got anything to say? That's your bedtime story for tonight, Lesha, what I just said. And mom of 9.
If nobody has anything to say, then in a few seconds, I'm going to stop recording on both YouTube and also Zoom.
Okay.
Lesha, if you
Yes.
don't mind, can you put in, I sent you a direct message on chat. If you could put in your username or your email address for me, I'm troubleshooting the email verification.
Okay, and real quick, the other thing is when I get to that page, everything, and maybe it's because my email is not verified, but everything that I go over, I can highlight with the cursor, except for those 3 groups, national, state, and county. And it doesn't, my cursor doesn't affect them.
Gosh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and manually verify your account like I did with Jim Moore. He
Okay.
gave me his email and username, so I was able to do that. And I signed up for a new account and I got the verification email within a minute. So it's hard when you can't replicate a problem to try to fix it, but we'll troubleshoot it.
Okay,
So just type that to me directly if you
I'll
want.
do that right now.
Okay, perfect. And then you should have all features and access. And I'm going to type my phone number to you too. If you have problems, I want you to call me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, folks. Any more questions or comments? I'm about to stop the recording both on Zoom and YouTube.